There you go. Yeah, the slouch is nice.
Oh, laid back with Michael Chiesa.
Yeah.
Hey, perfect world. When and who do you fight next?
Wow, he just comes right out of the gates firing, doesn't he? I think the first quarter next year,
Okay.
ideally, I think like maybe end of January, maybe February. I know it's going to be a really busy schedule internationally next year. I'd like to fight stateside.
How come?
The international travel can be tough at times. The taxes can be tough, but I mean, you can't put the price tag on a win. So I don't really have an opponent in mind. I have a location in mind. They really teased me with Seattle and Canada. So it'd be cool to fight close to home. My first professional loss was in Seattle to Jorge Masvidal. And then prior to that, I was supposed to have my UFC debut, and I got staph infection. So it's like, I feel like I'm 0-2 in UFC fights in Seattle. So I don't have an opponent in mind, but I have a location. I'd like to fight on the West Coast.
All right. When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
When I was a small child, I wanted to be a ghost. And then as I got older, that's a true story. I wanted to be a ghost. I wanted to be a professional skateboarder. I was really convinced that was going to be my career path. My grandfather, who is my all-time idol, he raced motorcycles professionally. So I just grew up under this pretense, like, my job just has to be something cool. Like, it's not going to be some type of 9 to 5. So I wasn't far off. I'm a professional fighter now.
Some people don't know this. Your MMA career started at a Hooters. Can you quickly tell that story?
In a nutshell, I'll tell you what happened. I was watching UFC 78. Yeah, it was 78. Liddell versus Jardine. And I was not 18, and I was sitting around a bunch of drunk guys at Hooters, and we all know what happens when drunk guys that don't know how to fight watch UFC. They think they know how to fight, and they just were picking a fight with the wrong group of youngsters, and we got jumped in the parking lot, and it was, the numbers were not in our favor, and it basically panned out, looked more like we jumped them. So my coach, my now coach Rick Little, caught wind of this because of a couple girls that worked there that were ring girls for his show. Like, hey, dude, this dude actually can fight pretty good. You should probably find this guy. So they set me up next to him at the GSP Matt Serra rematch. They put us at a table together, and we met, and then went and watched one of his shows, and then I started training on Cinco de Mayo in 2008.
That's fantastic. That's one of my favorite stories.
Yeah, it was great. It was crazy because I didn't grow up a tough guy, Brendan. Like, people that know me, I was not like a stellar athlete. I wrestled, but I was hardly varsity on my best day.
Yeah.
I didn't get in a lot of fights. I was very non-confrontational, got picked on a lot. So I think that I realized in that moment that if you really force me out of my comfort zone, I'm capable of great things. Not that I think getting in a street fight's a great thing, but
yeah.
But as I've gone into my fighting career, I've realized like this sport's way out of my comfort zone. But I'm pretty good when I get out of my comfort zone. So,
what would you tell the fighter that was in your first fight? What would you tell yourself starting the career?
In my very first MMA fight, what would I tell him? I would tell him, I don't think I would tell him anything at all, Brendan. I think that it was good for me to figure it all out on my own through the wins, the losses, the trials and tribulations in the training room. I don't think I would want to tell myself anything. I think I would still want to just, the way that my path was paved out, it was meant to be. So I just don't think I would ever want to go back and change anything. Everything happens for a reason. I don't know. I don't think there's anything else.
What did you just think when you laughed?
I would tell him, trust your guard when you fight Vicente Luque at UFC 265. Don't just rush into a single leg. I've been harping on that on myself lately.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, really beat my head.
The losses stick with you.
They really do stick with me, but that was the only thing that came to mind. But I'm like, what am I going to say? Hey, man, you're going to fight this Brazilian guy in Houston, Texas in like 13 years. Trust your guard. Don't just rush into a single leg. I wouldn't tell my younger self that. I would let him figure it all out on his own. Because I think that's what was best for me, man. This sport is what helped me grow up. It shaped who I am, and through the wins and losses and the whole process, I don't think I would change anything except for that.
Last question. What have you changed your mind about recently?
What have I changed my mind about recently? What have I changed my mind about recently? Wow, that's a really good question. You know, it's funny you say that. What have I changed in my mind recently is I need to trust my knowledge a little more. Sometimes I think I sell myself short, and I think that maybe that comes with that mantra, like there's always more to give, there's always more you can do, and that's a great thing to live by. But I also think that with that comes like, I didn't do my best, or I don't know enough, or I'm coming up short in some things. I kind of just had a moment a few weeks ago where I was just kind of sitting back, kind of reflecting on my career, plotting my next move. You know, my back is starting to get healthier. I'm really starting to think about walking away and following Vanessa Demopoulos and Sean Shelby to talk about a fight. But I've kind of changed my mind recently about, like, you know, quit selling yourself short. I'm always thinking that I'm not up to par with certain people, you know, and I need to just start comparing myself to other people and just focus on myself. And it's been good. It's been good for me.
You're the man, dude.
Always good to see you, Fitz.
Appreciate you.
You're the man.